If y'all did not check out my last video talking about Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas, this is a follow-up to that. And you know what? I gotta say from the jump of this video, it does kind of make me a little bit sad that Trisha Paytas has to even speak out about this. I think at the end of the day, like somebody's, health issues should never have to be made public. And I think that it's actually crazy that Ethan Klein got up on the internet and was like so like serious about his allegations towards Trisha Paytas and calling her a liar. Also, I have to say this too, coming from a person who is extremely uneducated, y'all know that I've opened up before about my sister and her struggles with infertility and things like that. I'm still super uneducated about it. I don't really have like the deepest, conversations with my sister. Like I've mentioned before, we're not the closest, you know what I mean? So everything that I hear, it's like low key through my parents and her telling me bits and pieces of it, but I don't ask too many questions just because we're just not the closest. Do you know what I'm saying? I have to say, it is nobody's business. Do you know what I mean? If somebody wants to get up on the internet and share that, like, obviously they can. But for you to get up on the internet and, like, call her a liar, I think that that's so crazy. And also, too, going back to, like, me being uneducated about things, I think it's so crazy that I obviously, me being uneducated, even still know that infertile doesn't mean sterile. I said that within my last video about Ethan Klein and Trisha Paytas. The fact that he is getting up out there and saying, oh my God, she had 3 kids back to back to back. I'm like, y'all, I literally have had multiple cousins who the same thing has happened to them. Like they were struggling for years and then bam, as soon as they had 1, they had 2, one even had 3. So it's so crazy to me that like he is getting on the internet, this full grown man who himself has went through infertility issues with his wife. And I do believe, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, that they had to actually look into IVF treatments. You know what I'm saying? You would think that he would be a little bit more educated in this topic and know that infertile doesn't mean sterile. It doesn't mean that you can never have kids again. And say, for example, if she did have any type of issues, she obviously could have had a procedure done or, done something holistically or whatever the case may be to fix those issues. And it's nobody's business, okay? Now, Trisha Paytas had to get up onto the internet and she made a YouTube video addressing this whole situation and obviously having to go a little bit more in depth and explain the whole entire situation of what she went through and how she really was infertile. And look, Trisha Paytas may be a lot of things, okay? Maybe she has lied before. Like, y'all already know, like, her coming out as, like, trans and then saying that she's non-binary, she's they them, like, all of these things. Obviously we know that Trisha Paytas has had her troll past, so if you're going to talk about Trisha Paytas, sure, you could harp on all of these things that she has done before. She's made several offensive remarks, like all of these things obviously from her past. If you're gonna bash her, why not bash her for those things? Why get onto the internet and say she lied about being infertile? Do you know what I mean? Honestly, I think that Ethan Klein would have had better grounds to stand on if he got onto the internet and said that she lied about being non-binary, that she lied about being trans, because that I really could get behind of like, yeah, maybe she was doing that just for the fad, maybe she was doing that just for the attention. You know what's so funny? I don't know if she still does actually like have it in her bio, but she had her pronouns on there as like they them. And you know what I was thinking? You guys know how she like recently named her baby Aquaman? Like what if her baby decides to become like non-binary and she named her baby Aquaman? Like low-key, I thought that was kind of funny because I was like, wait, she named her baby Aquaman, but then like what if her baby's gonna be a they them? So like, would the baby therefore end up changing his name to like Aqua They Them? Do you know what I mean? Or Aqua They, Aqua Them? You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like, wait, how are you coming out as like non-binary or trans and then you're naming your baby Aquaman? What's really going on here? I'm totally kidding, by the way, in case you guys couldn't tell. But I do have to say, like, if you were to get out there and make a comment like that and say she was lying about this, okay, I could get it. But you're getting onto the internet and saying that she's lying about being infertile. I think that that is crazy. I think it's disgusting. Also, I have to say this too, if you guys did not check out that previous video, make sure you guys go check it out. The fact that he doubled down on it, the fact that he doubled down and said, well, that's my opinion, it is what it is, and I could sit behind it. You guys know I'm a very opinionated person. I stand behind my opinions, and I get it, we all have our opinions, but to have an opinion like that is so crazy. And let's go ahead and keep it real here. If he really did have that opinion, if he really did say, you know what, she is lying about this, why does he have to say that on the internet? Like, keep that to your, talk to your wife, keep it off of camera. Like, why did you have to say that on the internet? To me, it almost seems as if like he wanted to do some hurt. He wanted to do some damage. It seems as if he had a motive. It seems like he was like, you know what, let me get up on the internet and actually like, cause a little bit of a stir because right now she's making headlines. She was posted on TMZ. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, what's the director? Is it James Gunn? Is his name James Gunn? I think it is. Don't quote me on that. But I think it's James Gunn who directed Aquaman. Like, he even like was asked about, oh, what do you think about Trisha Paytas naming her son Aquaman? So she's making headlines, obviously. One being for that she did have a child, her third child, and then naming him Aquaman. Obviously, he's making headlines because, you know, that's a bizarre name. Also, like I had even said before, too, he could have got up on the internet and, like, you know, talked about Aquaman being a name. And then actually he ended up doing that. Like, if you're going to talk about her, talk about those things. Don't sit over here and talk about her being a liar and saying, oh, she lied about being infertile. Like, to me, it's giving hater energy. Do you know what I mean? There's so many other things, obviously, to talk about Trisha Paytas about. But also, I got to say this, too. And I guess maybe I didn't go, like, you know, in enough depth within my last video is... their podcast has been over for years now. Like, let it go. The fact that he's still talking about her is crazy. Also, I think, and if you guys paid attention to when I had read his public statement that he made on his Instagram stories, he said on there the reason why there isn't a frenemies reunion is because of Moses and not because of Trisha Paytas. I have to say, I feel like he is just harping on this. I think, okay, it's just my opinion, I think that's when he was making the most money in his career. I think that because of the success of Frenemies and being that it brought in millions of viewers, I think that he is like really hurt by that still. And I think that he was living on a high within that moment that he is like really pissed. And he has some type of like resentment and animosity towards her that she's over here thriving. Her podcast now is super successful. She's getting all these crazy brand deals and she's getting all these good sponsorships on her podcast that I think that he is like really envious of that and jealous of that, you know? Which I gotta say, I think is really bizarre because, you know, I see clips of his and I see that he has some really good brand deals. Also, too, I obviously cut it off of the clip that I had showed you guys when he was calling her out for lying about being infertile. Like, he literally said sponsored by 7-Up. Don't know if he was joking, okay? But I have seen him do, like, product placements like that before and do sponsorships like that before. So I was like, is this fool really sponsored by 7-Up too? Like, damn, like he has good brand deals too. He's rich too. A lot of people love Teddy Fresh. So I'm like, you're rich, you're successful too. Like, let it go. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I think, and look, I get the name of the game, okay? I totally do understand, obviously, as being a content creator myself, as being somebody who does commentary, you know, and loves to chit chat online and be very opinionated online. I understand having your opinion, but like, why do you need to go in so much about Trisha Paytas? It seems over and over again. You don't really ever hear Trisha Paytas talking about him. It's always him talking about her. And it's like, aren't you tired of this by now? I don't understand why his wife doesn't say like, hey, just like shut up. You know what I mean? Like, just stop talking about this, because how much more like times can you talk about Trisha Paytas? Damn, like he makes it like, you know, his thing to do. And it's like, okay, give it up at this point. And then, if you guys, another thing that I wanted to touch on, if you guys had paid attention to the last part of his statement on Instagram, he was bringing up Moses and some really serious allegations. For him to bring that up in that moment when he's getting called out big time online, why are you bringing that up right now? Like, it really just seems like he's trying to divert and be like, oh, well, hey, while we're at it, let's go ahead and bash Moses right now. Do you know what I mean? With these allegations that, to me, I haven't seen any proof of. I don't even know if there's any truth to it. I gotta keep it real with you guys. It seems to me that like Ethan Klein low-key could be that hateful type of person to even perpetuate these lies even more. I'm not saying that there's not any truth to it. I haven't done any research on this, but I'm just saying it seems like he could be that type of person. That's just my opinion, because he really does seem like a spiteful person. And I'm like, he needs to calm down. Anyways, I have to say, because of this whole entire situation, Trisha Paytas, you know, obviously addressed this situation, which low-key, it made me kind of sad, because I really do feel like at the end of the day, like, that's nobody's business. Do you know what I mean? Like, if she obviously chooses to speak about it publicly, cool. I think that's really great, because I think there's a lot of people struggling with this. However, it just sucks that obviously this blew up so much on the internet that she felt the need to get out there to go and talk about it and really open up even more about it. It's like, oh my God, can we just let her be happy within her moment? She just had her third baby. Like, shit, why are you getting on the internet and being so damn negative? Like, if that's his opinion, he's fully entitled to have that opinion. Keep it off the internet. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead and talk about it privately. He said within his statement too, by the way, that I didn't even like, I was editing my video and I was like, I didn't even go in on that. He literally said, this is my family, not your family. Like, basically saying like, it's my business, not your business. Like, you're talking about it on your public podcast. What are you doing? Like, as soon as you get up on the internet and you throw this huge ass claim out there that she's lying, and you're going to go and sit there and say, oh, this is my family, not your family, so it's my business, none of your business. How are you getting up on the internet and saying that when you literally are the one that is making your opinion public? Like, obviously people are going to be able to have their opinion about it. Like, if you didn't want people bashing you, you didn't have to say that on the internet. You could have kept that opinion to your damn self. But it's so crazy for him to say, oh, it's my family, not your family. It's like, you didn't have to say anything publicly. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you didn't want to get ridiculed, if you don't want to get bashed up on the internet, then obviously you didn't have to make your public be known. You know, I love how his are they like considered his co-host? That guy Abe, I think. He's like, I'm old school, so I'm just gonna say congratulations. Like, even they were uncomfortable about it. Even they were like, okay, like, let's just go ahead and say that congratulations. You know what I mean? Like, leave it at that. But this just goes to show that Ethan Klein is just really a hateful person. I think, like, I don't know, he needs some damn help. Like, go to therapy or something, like shit. Anyways, I do want to go ahead and play a clip from Trisha Paytas' podcast where she was talking about this and how everybody was like, girl, damn, you don't even have to like get up on the internet and explain yourself, because it is obviously her private matter. So check this out.
I was infertile. I struggled with like fertility, and I was infertile for literally like probably 14 years. I think 22 is when I actively was like trying to get pregnant. I have no shame in these videos, okay? I know there's a lot of reasons for people to shame me or judge me. Whatever, at this point, like, whatever. I was very actively, more or less, trying to get pregnant, sometimes with relationships, sometimes not even. I just really, really wanted a baby, and to me, it wasn't even about the guy. It was just kind of like, if I got pregnant, I wouldn't even tell. Maybe I'd tell the person, maybe I wouldn't, depending on who the situation was, but, you know, that was the mentality of me at 20 years old. Obviously, not right, not mature, but that was what I was actually thinking. I just really wanted a baby, and I was just kind of like, how it happens. I was always very honest about not being on birth control. There were times where I would try being on birth control, and but I was always very honest. And I was like, and towards the later 20s, early 30s, I'm like, I can't do birth control. It's not for me. It was never a trap situation. It takes two to make a baby, right? Anyways, I had chlamydia that I left twice. That I left. It was basically undiagnosed for like a year. So it sat in my body. It scarred up my tubes. It was really bad. I had two different, I guess ultrasounds. I guess that's what it is. That are like, you know, your tubes are really scarred. It's actually like going to be hard for you to have a baby. Once I got into like different relationships where I was like, you know, maybe I want a baby and all stuff like that, they're just like, you know, like you could do, that's when I first found out about the HSG test. I was like 31, 30 or something like that. And they're like, yeah, your tubes are really scarred. When I was younger, the HSG test is a test that like shoots like liquid through your uterine. I don't know, something like that. It's a test for infertility, but also like clears out your tubes. 95% of women like get pregnant out of it. Like, anyways, that's how I got pregnant with my first two. Yeah, up until then, like, couldn't. I actually tried it in another relationship HSG test, and it, like, didn't work. I didn't get pregnant. So, again, I always believe in timing. I know not everybody wants to hear that, especially in a fertility journey, but I do believe God had timing for me that he's like, actually, wait, because I couldn't imagine having kids with anyone else other than my husband, especially now because my husband is, like, literally the best father in the whole world. He's so good. Haters would love to be like, oh, he's the mother, he's the nanny, he's the manny. No, he's just, like, a really amazing father. Sorry about your luck. But met my husband. We were trying for kids before we got married. Nothing was working. When we got married, my husband was like, let's, you know, I told him about the HSG test. He's like, let's go, let's try it. Boom. Got pregnant right away.
Sorry I had to like speed up that clip right there. I didn't realize how long it was. I was like, oh, damn, I gotta speed this up because, woof. I have to say this, okay? You guys heard her say right there too that she even was trying from 22 years old. And I want to say now she's like, what, 37, 38? You know, so obviously it took her some years to have a kid. I think that it is so crazy to get out there and make these allegations. Like I said, I'm always going to be that person of like, everybody's fully entitled to their opinion. Maybe it really is his wholehearted belief that she did lie about that. And I think that he's fully entitled to his opinion. There are just some things that don't need to be said on the internet, especially, okay, when she just gave birth to her third baby. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if he was going to talk about anything, which he ended up talking about it, I ended up seeing the clip after, talk about the name of the baby, because I think that that's, you know, that's a bizarre name. I'm sorry. I can't get behind that name. I am so damn sorry. I feel like Aqua would have been cute. Aqua, I think, was cute, you know? But like Aquaman specifically, it's like, oh, okay, damn, girl, this is I don't like it. I'm so sorry. Like, to me, it's a crazy name. But whatever, to each their own. Like, he could have got on the internet and talked about that. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that he wants to go out there and say that she lied, I think sometimes, you know, some creators out there, if I'm keeping it real with you guys, I haven't really like watched Ethan Klein too much. I really only watched the Frenemies podcast. Yes, I have seen clips of him before online, but I've never thoroughly watched one of his shows after Frenemies ended. So I don't know if he's this type of way, but I do know that there are a lot of content creators out there, podcasters, commentators, like whatever, who they see headlines, you know, rolling. And obviously Trisha Paytas was making a lot of headlines, you know, giving birth to her third child and of course naming him Aquaman. It was making so many headlines. I think that maybe he was looking at this opportunity right now to rack in a check. Do you know what I'm saying? Like maybe he was like, oh shit, Trisha Paytas is being talked about in all these headlines, so let me go ahead and throw this bombshell out there that I think she's lying about this. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously he's going to blow up on the internet because people are going to be like, what the hell? Like, he's making these really strong accusations and claims about Trisha Paytas that people are obviously going to want to watch his podcast and see what he like had to say about it, which I think it's a grimy thing to do. I know in the name of the game of like people talking about other people, I know obviously that does draw on the views, but I don't know. I think at some point, like people really need to chill out. If that is, you know, his motive and if that was his goal was to get talked about and to like have his, you know, channel boost up more. I think that that's grimy. Whatever the reason is, to be quite honest with you guys, I just think it's grimy. Like you didn't have to get up on the internet and say that. I feel like it's just, you know what I mean? I feel like that's just something that you don't, you know, bring up. But obviously now he's getting so much hate about it, and I just feel like it's crazy that he's just really doubling down. But I don't know, from what I have seen about him before, like low key, it seems like he cannot give an apology to save his damn life. But I don't know. Y'all make sure you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions about everything. I just feel like, with Ethan Klein, I'm just like, I can't with him. He's, ugh. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, Girl Scout.